Mom did everything that she could to try to save us. She fled the state. She found a friend that was building a house, and that friend let us stay in the house. The house wasn't finished yet. There were no walls on the inside, only electricity. So we had a hot plate. We had a bag of potatoes in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for $1. And we had potato pancakes and mashed potatoes and raw potatoes to eat for months. My mom did her best. She tried to find love and stability, but struggling with her own issues. She was married 6 times. She repeated the cycle over and over again, finding these people who she thought loved them, but each one in turn was abusive. By the time I was 17 years old, my mother divorced again. As a junior in high school, I was free of somebody pounding on me in my house. I was kind of glad to be homeless. And I was. I found a camper that goes on the back of a pickup truck with little stilts on it in the front of somebody's house. And I asked if I could sleep in that. And they said yes. I showered at the high school gym, and I worked at McDonald's, which gave me free food. Don't let me give you details about what it was like at McDonald's. Working there, you'd never eat there again. Okay, that's another story. I'm not going to put some shiny spin on this that I was a homeless and all of a sudden I became this, famous doctor, and with all these famous people working backstage and all that kind of stuff. That's not what happened. Because what happened was decades of struggle, decades of therapy, character defects that came from surviving instead of being nurtured. Overcompensating, poor boundaries, substance abuse, shame. I fell into the same patterns of my mother's chaos, and I myself was married 6 times. I couldn't make it past 4 years because all that kept surfacing. And they were strong, but they couldn't handle me dealing with those issues. I'm 62 years old and I've moved 54 times in over 8 states across the nation. From Seattle to Virginia, Tennessee to Louisiana, California. It's ironic that I was asked to give a speech at this time because I've been in the trenches practicing my 12th step in the AA program for a couple of years now, going after the lost sheep that's out there. And I'm telling you, these programs, and I'm going to name names, because there's money being fed to these systems that just don't work. My own sister, right now, is in Plymouth housing, which is a drug fest. And she's moving from one Plymouth to another Plymouth. And her neighbors freely give her drugs. Makes it impossible for her to get clean. And we go through 6 months clean when we get her an inpatient. And then she's back in that facility and they don't have services, but they're getting fed money to stay there. 2 years ago, I had to rescue my singer of my band that I've known for 25 years, of my best friend, who was homeless and about ready to put a gun to his head and said, "I'm done." He called me up and said, "I'm done." And I said, "Wait." I called him back and I said, "There's a bus ticket waiting for you. Get over here." Got him up here to Seattle, and I put him in Porch Light over in Bellevue. God bless his heart. He's such a fine, strong Christian man, struggling with mental illness, but some of the meth kind of gets him straight a little bit, but then he freaks out on too much of it. But he keeps praying over his food, and he keeps putting his nose in his Bible every morning. And a couple of people came up and asked him, about what he's reading. And Porch Light kicked him out for praying in the facility over his food. These facilities are